Jacob Protocol. 21 daily habits scientifically proven to boost your brain power. The 90-minute secret. Why your brain is firing blanks. Everything you've been told about productivity might be a lie. Meet Jacob, a 32-year-old freelance designer. It's 8 a.m. and he's staring at a blank screen. A critical deadline looms, his inbox burns with unread messages, and a heavy brain fog has already drained his energy. Most people would force themselves to grind through it, diving into the chaos. Jacob does the opposite. He smiles, closes his inbox, silences the noise, and sets a timer for 90 minutes. This is the 90-minute secret, a method top performers use to replicate focus and creativity on command. It's not about working harder, but about a lazy habit most people skip, one that may be silently stealing their best ideas. It raises a simple question. What if your brain isn't broken? What if you were never bad at focusing, just using the wrong manual? The countdown begins. 90. Jacob isn't anxious. He's ready. Sun, silence, and serotonin. Jacob's alarm doesn't come from a jarring ringtone. It comes from the sun. Within 30 minutes of waking, rain or shine, he steps outside. He isn't checking the weather or scrolling through notifications. He is performing a critical biological function, getting direct sunlight exposure. This simple act signals his body to halt melatonin production, the sleep hormone, and kickstarts serotonin, the mood and focus hormone, anchoring his entire circadian rhythm for the day. He steps back inside, but not to the blue glow of a television or a news feed. The next 10 minutes are dedicated to silent mornings, often the hardest part of his day. He feels the digital itch, that phantom vibration in his pocket, the intense pressure to check what he missed overnight. He resists. Instead, he sits for his daily 10-minute meditation. He isn't aiming for enlightenment. He's practicing mental hygiene. He simply observes his thoughts, acknowledging them without reacting. This practice isn't mystical. It's a physical workout for his brain. It strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the center of logic and discipline, and shrinks the amygdala, the brain's panic button, making him calmer and less impulsive. By the time he finishes, Jacob has calibrated his biology and tamed his internal chaos. His mind is sharp, uncluttered, and prepared. He pours his coffee, sits at his desk, and hovers his finger over the timer. The cognitive warm-up is complete. Now, the real work begins. The deep work cycle. Surfing the ultradian rhythm. Jacob's success isn't simply a matter of iron will. It's about respecting his biology. If we acknowledge that intense focus is finite, the question shifts from how long can I push it, how can I recharge it most effectively? In the next 90 minutes, Jacob is invincible. He isn't disciplined because of rigid rules. He's surfing a biological wave. His task is to synthesize complex user research into a single, cohesive design concept, a task demanding the highest level of deep work. With a timer set for the 90-minute rule, he dives into a state of flow where actions and awareness merge and distractions cease to exist. This isn't arbitrary time management. It's rooted in ultradian rhythms, the natural cycles of alertness and rest that govern our day. The timer buzzes. Jacob doesn't hit snooze or allow himself to just finish one more thing. He stands up immediately. The break isn't a reward. It's a mandatory reset. He heads out for his morning walk. No headphones, no phone, just movement. This seemingly idle activity is the opposite of laziness. It is a profound brain bath. Walking engages the default mode network, a quiet brain state where, paradoxically, our deepest, most original creative thinking occurs. This mechanism gave Steve Jobs breakthrough insights during his walking meetings and inspired the daily rambles of Beethoven. Suddenly, mid-stride, Jacob stops, pulling a small notebook from his pocket. The solution to his primary design problem has popped out, a classic aha moment delivered courtesy of his temporarily disengaged DMN. Later that afternoon, as the post-lunch slump arrives, Jacob doesn't fight the mental fog. He sees it for what it is, a signal. He sets an alarm for 20 minutes and takes a structured nap on the sofa. He treats it as a pit stop for his cognitive engine, not a sign of weakness. Done correctly, napping aids memory consolidation and restores alertness, preparing the mind for a powerful second half of the day. This strategic oscillation between intense effort and intentional rest is the true secret weapon, moving beyond mere task management to a deep respect for how the brain naturally functions. But what about the content we feed our brains, the information we choose to consume, and how we process it? Fuel and fire, forging resilience. If the deep work cycle provides the structure, the right fuel and deliberate challenge provides lasting energy. Respecting the ultradian rhythm is only half the battle. The brain needs the right inputs and training to maintain its peak state. Forget the greasy midday burger. Jacob's midday meal looks deceptively simple, yet is pure rocket fuel for his neurotransmitters. This is the core principle of his brain food habit. His plate is stacked with nutrients designed to support clear thinking and emotional stability. Salmon, packed with omega-3 fatty acids, essential for brain cell health. A side of blueberries, loaded with antioxidants to combat oxidative stress. And a small piece of dark chocolate for dessert to boost cerebral blood flow. Crucially, he engages in mindful eating. No screens, no scrolling. Distracted eating spikes cortisol, hinders digestion, and leads to the dreaded food coma, a common saboteur of afternoon productivity. By treating his meals as a focused ritual, Jacob ensures his core neurotransmitters are optimally supported for the rest of the day. The pursuit of a mental edge continues into the evening. At 6:30 p.m., Jacob faces a moment of self-inflicted tension as he prepares for his cold shower. It's never easy, but he takes a deep breath and turns the dial fully cold. The initial shock is replaced by profound clarity. This short blast of cold exposure is a deliberate biohack, triggering a massive release of norepinephrine, which boosts vigilance, attention, and mood. It's often referred to as nature's Adderall, a zero-cost, side-effect-free boost to resilience. This focus on discomfort extends to his exercise routine. Jacob's Iron Mindset workout, a session of dumbbells and bodyweight movements, isn't about aesthetics. It's about training willpower, pushing through resistance to teach his brain persistence. This challenging work releases beneficial compounds like IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, aiding neuroplasticity. Following the heavy work, he shifts to light movement, gentle yoga, or a slow bike ride. This low-impact activity elevates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, rightly called Miracle-Gro for brain cells. This gentle stirring promotes creativity and mood stability without the draining effect of intense training. The combined effect of nourishing the brain and deliberately challenging the body creates formidable internal stability. But in a world designed to constantly distract us, how does one protect this hard-earned mental calm from the persistent assault of the digital age? Taming the dopamine demon, the stillness protocol. In a world designed to distract us, how does one protect this hard-earned mental calm? The answer, for Jacob, is selective, deliberate disconnection. Around 3 p.m., just as the mid-afternoon slump hits, Jacob institutes his digital fast, a practice contrary to modern life. As he settles back into his workspace, his phone lights up with notifications, a subtle buzz, perhaps a like on a social media post, each a tiny, irresistible invitation. That jolt is a familiar dopamine hit, the brain's reward for novelty and instant gratification. Jacob feels the pull, the craving for that next fleeting piece of information. Yet, he resists. He consciously powers down the device and slides it into a drawer, creating a tech-free zone. Why this rigorous discipline? Because too much easy dopamine creates a vicious cycle, more craving, less focus, and a brain perpetually hunting for external stimulation rather than engaging in deep, sustained thought. This habitual overstimulation turns the reward system into a demanding master, effectively creating a dopamine demon. By enforcing a strict digital fast, Jacob rewires his brain to enjoy stillness. This quiet zone is where problem solving, deep work, and long-term memory formation are built. However, this stillness is not isolation. Jacob understands the vital difference between a digital fast and a genuine human connection. Later in the day, he engages in his social interaction habit. Meeting a friend for coffee, phone tucked away. The interaction is face-to-face, unmediated by screens. This real-time connection triggers the release of oxytocin, a powerful neurochemical involved in bonding and trust. It's often referred to as emotional WD-40 because it reduces anxiety, strengthens memory, and provides a critical anchor to the real world. A text message, no matter how kind, cannot replicate the complex cascade of neurochemistry delivered by a focused, present conversation. This combination, disciplined withdrawal from digital noise, followed by an intentional pursuit of genuine connection, allows Jacob to regulate his internal chemistry, preparing him for the final acts of the day. But there is one often overlooked area that remains untouched by food, cold, or conversation: the deep, latent power of the subconscious mind. How does Jacob prepare his brain for its most crucial function, the process of learning and growing while he sleeps? How to stay young forever. You don't stop learning because you get old. You get old because you stop learning. At 5 p.m., Jacob deliberately steps away from focused tasks and embraces the curiosity hour. Instead of crashing into passive consumption, no Netflix, no aimless scrolling, he picks up a book. It might not be self-help or a productivity hack. Perhaps it's a deep dive into something unexpected, like the history of salt or the economics of medieval trade. This is his mental cardio, a low-stakes exploration that stretches the mind without the pressure of a deadline. The science behind curiosity is compelling. It activates the brain's reward system, lighting up the same neural pathways that respond to highly motivating stimuli like chocolate or money. When the brain is curious, it not only pays attention better, but also shows enhanced retention for all information, even unrelated facts learned simultaneously. Jacob doesn't limit this exploration to long sessions. Before diving into focused work, he engages in a curiosity burst. He sets a brief 5-minute timer and explores a single, random question he doesn't know the answer to, often tumbling down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, answering questions like, "Why do cats purr?" or "What is the origin of the decimal system?" This short, intentional practice maintains learning agility and cognitive flexibility. To solidify the knowledge gained throughout the day, Jacob employs the teach-back trick every evening. He picks one complex concept he learned that day and explains it out loud, as if teaching it to a child or colleague. He stumbles, rephrases, and simplifies until the explanation is clear and concise. This process, known as the Feynman technique, is the ultimate test of understanding. Reading something is not learning. When you can teach it to someone else in simple terms, the brain has truly internalized the information. This brief, powerful habit converts raw information into functional intuition and secures long-term retention. These simple, knowledge-driven routines keep Jacob's internal world dynamic and alert. But even the sharpest mind is useless without the underlying physical fuel to power it. The final, critical habit that most consider a luxury, but which Jacob treats as a fundamental upgrade, is optimizing the very process of rest. Clearing RAM, solving problems. Even the sharpest mind is useless without the underlying physical fuel to power it. Jacob treats optimizing rest as essential. It's 9:30 p.m. The house is quiet, the laptop lid is closed, and the glow of screens is absent. Before Jacob allows his mind to wind down, he performs a mental load dump. Think of it as clearing the brain's RAM. He grabs a small notepad and quickly scribbles down every stray thought, worry, and to-do that is still orbiting his consciousness. Groceries, overdue emails, a vague worry about next week's presentation, he dumps it all. Why? Because your brain isn't built to be a storage unit. It's a processing center. When you keep unfinished tasks locked inside your head, it triggers the Zeigarnik effect, the psychological tendency to remain alert and anxious about incomplete business. By executing this mental load dump, Jacob tricks his brain into feeling like the loop is closed. The job is transferred to paper, freeing up mental bandwidth for true rest. Next, he opens a different journal, the One Problem Journal. He doesn't write solutions. He outlines one single unsolved problem from his day. A creative block, a tricky business decision, a life dilemma. He defines it, reframes it, then closes the book. This ritual primes his subconscious for sleep processing. He allows his brain to chew on the unresolved question while he sleeps, often leading to aha moments that arrive effortlessly the next morning. Then comes the final act of psychological peace, gratitude journaling. He writes down 3 things he's genuinely thankful for. Sometimes they're deep, often they're simple wins, like a really good cup of coffee or sunshine during the walk. This isn't just fluffy self-help, it's powerful brain chemistry. The habit rewires the brain to scan for progress, not problems, lowering stress hormones and boosting chemicals like serotonin. Finally, he begins the sleep defense. By 10 p.m., the screens are off, replaced by a physical book under dim, warm light. He knows sleep is not just rest, it's neurogenesis. It's the critical period where the brain clears out toxins, consolidates memories, and builds new neural connections. Skipping good sleep means missing the system upgrade entirely. Jacob treats his 7 to 9 hours of sleep as sacred time, the ultimate habit for boosting brain power. Because to truly master the day, you must first master the night. And once that mental and biological fortress is built, how does Jacob use his restored energy and clarity to ensure he stays on the path to long-term success, avoiding the short-term dopamine traps that sabotage everyone else? Your brain's final upgrade. Once that mental and biological fortress is built, how does Jacob use his restored energy and clarity to ensure he stays on the path to long-term success, avoiding the short-term dopamine traps that sabotage everyone else? He wakes up. The solution to the problem he wrote in the One Problem Journal the night before is suddenly clear. It's an aha moment, born in the quiet efficiency of sleep. But there's one final piece of the system that locks all the previous habits together, his vision reminder. This card is his North Star. It contains one short, clear sentence describing his long-term goal. Not a task, not a to-do list item, a vision. This habit is crucial because the brain's dopamine system, which drives all motivation, constantly seeks the easiest, fastest hit, the ping of a social media notification or the instant reward of a quick snack. Without direction, the system goes haywire, favoring instant gratification over meaningful progress. Jacob's vision reminder rewires the dopamine system to crave delayed gratification. By consciously tying his daily efforts back to that ultimate, inspiring future goal, his brain begins to treat the process itself as a win. He enjoys the grind because he can see exactly where it leads. Finally, at the end of every day, Jacob uses the daily win habit. He doesn't ask, "Did I finish everything?" or "Was I perfect?" He asks one simple question: "What's one thing I did today?" This shift in focus from perfection to progress is profoundly powerful. It guarantees he goes to bed in a state of mental momentum. The truth is, Jacob isn't a superhero. He's just a person who's built a better operating system for his brain, a collection of small science-backed habits. They aren't 21 giant leaps, they are 21 tiny repeatable steps. They stack, they compound, and they fundamentally change the chemistry and architecture of his mind. These tools aren't reserved for the elite. They are available to anyone ready to take control of their own brain and build the version of themselves that feels unstoppable.